Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Youier podcast. I am your host, Elle Edwards, founder of Youier and the Blue House. And every single episode for all of season 8, we're going to be bringing you short and sweet and actionable episodes to help you be Youier. That's you, the person you were created to be in intentional, expectant relationship with God. With that reminder, if you don't yet have a space where you can explore what it really means for you to be you, and to take action on those things that are important and have a great time doing it, I would encourage you to check out the Blue House, youier.com/join. It's my online community. It's full of wonderful human beings just like you who are together doing some pretty cool stuff. We've had some book babies over the last couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about. So that's just a quick reminder. I don't do that every episode, but I got nudged to mention it. So I don't know who's been thinking about the Blue House. Take this as your nudge to explore it with God and then come and join us. And in the meantime, in today's episode, we are considering how you journey. Can you simply enjoy the journey? And it comes with that reminder. There's a couple of reminders that are currently doing battle in my head. Pick me, in terms of which one to focus on first. But it's that reminder, isn't it? There is a plan and a purpose for your life. Ephesians 2:10, which is one of my favourite verses, it talks about, you being God's workmanship. That means you are his work of art in some translations, but created in advance with a plan and a purpose for your life. And yes, I'm paraphrasing. Think of that as the L translation. It's not an official recognised translation. But as we've said before, you're not an accident. There is a plan and a purpose for your life. And so ideally, on a good day, you're going to wake up full of expectation and excitement. Okay, God, what are we going to do today in order to move forward into everything that God has for you? Recognising that the things that he has for you are good. We are reminded in Romans 8:28 that he moved in all things for your good, even those things that are challenging. I'm just going to put that out there. That's a side note. It's not in my notes. I don't know who needs that reminder. But if you're exploring something today or you're having a challenging day, I want to encourage you to do what I did back in March when I bumped my car and I said, okay, God, I look forward to seeing how you turn this one to good. Taking him at his word. This is an invitation for you to take God at his word. So if you are having a challenging day, I would encourage you to do that. Hand it to God. I mean, there might be actions that you need to take. When I bumped my car, I obviously had to ring the insurance company and take photos and all of those things. It would have been no good me going, okay, God, I'm going to leave that to you because, you are his hands and his feet. There are certain actions that he's inviting you to take. So this is not about abdicating responsibility, but it is absolutely about letting go of the outcome and letting God show up and show off in that situation. And those of you who've heard that story of how that bump with that car played out know that God really did show off. So be encouraged. Like I say, that's a side note. It's not in my notes, but I felt nudged to remind you. And so I don't know who needs that, but just be encouraged. Give it to God. He can turn it to good. And recognizing that good will look different sometimes to what we anticipate. But, if we let go of that outcome and just go, okay, God, over to you, he will do cool stuff. And so I'm excited to see what that cool stuff looks like. With a follow-up reminder, if you are following along and you're a member of the Blue House and you are having a challenging time, don't forget that we've got the prayer room. And you don't have to be struggling with this stuff on your own. It really is one of the really important things about community is recognising that you're not having to journey on your own. Anyway, that's a side note really. But this plan and the purpose that you have for your life. So on a good day, you might wake up and go, yeah, I'm really excited to do those things. And depending upon your personality type, there might be this temptation to head down and power through and all of that stuff. But the reminder today is, yes, that's great. And God's not wanting you to get there, wherever there is, at any cost. There are some things that are more important to God than you getting there. And that's about relationship. Your relationship with yourself, i.e., how you treat yourself. Are you being kind to yourself as you journey? Your relationship with other people and your relationship with God. And so there would be no point in you simply, focus, head down, do all of the things and get to this end destination. And at the same time, your relationships implode because you're not doing life and loving on the people around you. And maybe your body is feeling completely burnt out because you've neglected to take care of yourself. And actually you haven't spoken to God in days. That's not God's best for you. And so the reminder today, or the invitation today, is what would it look like for you to enjoy the journey? I did promise you last episode that we'd have a quote for you that was not from the Bible. It's a fun quote though. It's from Ferris Bueller. If you have seen, do you remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off from the 80s? Those of you who are younger than me, because I know I am showing my age there. If you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, day off or day out? Yeah, day off. It must be on one of the streaming platforms. It's brilliant. I'm just saying. Great soundtrack. Really good film. But the quote, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Like I said last episode, yes, that quote is not in the Bible, but God is so more capable of communicating with you than just in the Bible. Why would we limit him? Why would he limit himself in that way? He can communicate with you in many different ways, including quotes from films and other people and just nudges and random conversations with people. But the real reminder behind that is, life does go quickly. In my experience, life goes slowly only when it's something that you're going through that's really difficult. When you're going through a hard season, it feels like that's never going to end, and it's just going so slowly. But the rest of the time, life goes at record speed. I mean, here in the UK, we had a couple of bank holidays in May. We had the traditional May bank holiday, then we had the extra day off because of the King's coronation. That week went past so fast, I guess because we only had a 4-day week, and it seemed to go at record speed. It was bonkers. Life does move fast, and I suspect it seems to move fast the older you get. Some of you have heard the conversation I've had. I think the reason why life seems to go faster, this is just an aside, is if you think about like a week within the context of a month-old baby, a week is a whole quarter of that child's life. Whereas for you and I, those of us who are, as adults, regardless of whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s or older, like a week is actually such a small portion of your life relative to the whole. I think that's one of the reasons why it seems to go fast, leaving aside, technology and we're always on and all of that stuff, which, you don't have to be. Just a reminder. But life does go fast. And so actually, if you are continuously go, 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 you are going to miss out on some of the beauty that's to be had in this day. Those of you who've ever heard any of my podcast episodes, when I've been a guest on other people's podcasts, quite often I get the opportunity to share with people how they can bring more lovely things into their day. And there's that reminder to set a timer and then pause and look around you and see what's lovely in this moment. In order to do that, you have to pause. It's impossible to pause if you're running at 100 miles an hour, metaphorically speaking. I know you can't actually run at 100 miles an hour, but if you're journeying incredibly fast, you can't. You miss what's going on around you. I'm a big advocate for under-scheduling, leaving white space in your day. Sometimes you go on these websites and they've got so much information and it's so overwhelming. And you might be like, oh, I just wish there was a bit of space, white space we call it in designer speak. The same can happen in your life as well. If you cram your day full of all of the things and you don't allow any sort of wiggle room in there, what if the wiggle room is where the real magic happens? And I don't mean magic in some scary way that's going to make people go, oh, she said magic and she's a Christian. I'm talking about, the divine God moments that, I meant God is magic in that context. So don't get hung up on that. And if you find yourself getting hung up on that, go and explore it with God, because there's clearly something that you need to work on. I'm just saying, let's not get hung up on language. But if you cram your day full of all of the things, you don't leave any space in there for those magical, I almost said musical, those magical moments, or musical moments. You can have those too. Those are great as well. And so this really is an invitation twofold invitation to consider, what does your day-to-day life currently look like? And are you somebody who is really quite full? And you can be honest with yourself in this. I would encourage you to be honest. There's no value in you lying to yourself about this and making yourself excuses. Be real with yourself. You don't have to tell anybody else. This is between you and God. What does your day-to-day life look like? Now, I recognise as I say that from a place of privilege, because I'm somebody who works from home. I get to set my own schedule. Depending upon, I'm reflecting back when I used to be a teacher, my hours in the day when I was a teacher, there was not as much spaciousness. I couldn't just, I could go for a walk at lunchtime, I suppose. I would argue there's probably always ways to build in some spaciousness, but there was a timetable that had to be followed. So if, within that context, it's going to look different. So there's no one correct answer to this. There's only the correct answer that is the best thing for you. And don't forget, you've got Holy Spirit who can help you. Number one, take an honest assessment of actually, where are you at? What does day-to-day life look like? And then if you need to have some adjustments, start small. Is there one thing that you can do differently in your day tomorrow that's different. I mean, you could start it today, but I don't know when you're enjoying this episode. So if it's late in the day, it might be too late. But is there an adjustment that you can make for the very next day? And it might be something like, so one of the things that I've started doing, I used to walk a lot. We had 2 dogs. And then many of you know that our Charlie passed away in January 2021, but Molly, she died in November last year. And I noticed, I don't know, perhaps I'm a slow learner, but I noticed in the last 6 months, I've been a little bit sluggish, not feeling sluggish, but just like haven't moved as much. And despite being full of good intentions to carry on walking, I really haven't done it very much at all. I did in the early days, and it was really hard actually. But so a couple of days ago, I was like, right, I'm going to get my 10,000 steps in again, because look, the sun is shining, why not? And again, I can do that because I can set my own day, but I still had to decide, like, when am I going to do it? And so I decided, and then I did it. And I'm glad to report that pretty much most days in between deciding and doing it, I've had a walk. Some days have been shorter than others, but it's one smallish action that I can take towards, building in some spaciousness. I mean, I love being outside. Outside is great, particularly this time of year. I offer that to you as an example. Remember, there's not one size fits all for this. This is about you being real with where you are, where you'd like to be. I'd encourage you to explore this with Holy Spirit. If you are a member of the Blue House and you want some ideas, or you just want to share what comes up for you, you can do that inside the playground, inside the Blue House. With that reminder, if you're not a member of the Blue House, you can, of course, come and join us. Youier.com/join, where you can find out more and all of that good stuff. If you know somebody who needs this reminder, please share this episode with them. We'll be back next week with another episode, so subscribe so you don't miss the next one. But most importantly, take some time today. Remember, there's 2 parts of this. Take stock, an honest assessment of where you are right now, and if there's some changes needed, what is one action or one piece that you can implement the very next day to take action towards, where you need to shift stuff. So those are your playthings. Have a go with it, and then I look forward to finding out how you get on, and I shall be back very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.